The Angle Slam
Podcast.
We're back, motherfucker!
Live.
Since fucking hell, first time singing together since Elimination Chamber 2020.
Yeah, that's mental.
We are finally in a room together again.
It was a duet. We haven't lost the touch.
Fucking nailed it. Yeah. Absolutely nailed it. First take.
Let's hope there's no technical difficulties now.
Well, we don't have to worry about like the connection with the internet and shit now, do we?
It's going to turn out there's no sound on this podcast at all at the end. But yeah, we're back. So
just happy to be in a room together.
Yeah, I really. It's kind of all of them were kind of live, but live via
the
FaceTime.
FaceTime.
So this is live. We're in the room.
We're not out. We're out.
We can bounce off each other. There's no lag. There's no I've got to hold a phone in my face.
Yeah.
So do you want to do your thing?
Yeah. So usual, like, subscribe, share.
Share.
Well, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Music. There's Google Podcasts. There's Cashbox. There's loads of stuff. Just click the link and it will give you the list of the stuff that's there. And we're all over the place. You can't get rid of us.
Mm-hmm. And I think we can just crack straight on with it.
Backlash.
Yeah, I'm not calling it what it.
Unfortunately, I have to call it WrestleMania's Backlash when we post stuff because obviously that gets you your keywords and all that kind of shit. But we'll call it what it actually is.
Backlash. Because the title changes are kind of a fuck you to our intelligence.
Which has been kind of the MO for WWE for a while now.
Like, what kind of fucking idiot in the boardroom? Like, do they get it's the Backlash from WrestleMania? Oh, I don't know. We better put WrestleMania in the title. It's like. But it's more likely they're like, let's throw WrestleMania in the title because people will see the WrestleMania logo and think it's just as important. It's like, well, A, no. And B, if you were right, why diminish your biggest show of the year for a minor one? Yeah. It's almost kind of saying, oh, Backlash is just as good as WrestleMania. It's like, no. WrestleMania is always going to be better than every other show, and you should push it as such. Yeah. So stop being cocks. So there's the first rant.
Yeah, that's the first rant. There will be more. There was a pre-show, Sheamus vs Ricochet, Open Challenge US, I think. I didn't watch it.
I'd like to think I'm going to go back and watch it, but I probably won't. Yeah. And it's a shame because I like those two as talents, so they probably put on a good match. But
I think this is the thing we're struggling with at the moment, us as well as a lot of our friends, and indeed a lot of people that are watching WWE at the moment. We're just so exhausted from the crap and poor booking, especially on Raw at the moment. It's so bad that we don't watch it anymore. We literally, we went into this pay-per-view for the first time since probably 2011.
Pretty much blind.
Yeah, because we haven't really got the passion for it anymore. The only bits I'm watching now are Roman Reigns stuff, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but they're doing so well with it. So yeah, at the moment when we're reviewing stuff, we're quite blind on it really because we haven't got the passion at the moment. It's literally because we're reviewing this podcast and because we have our own wrestling league is the reason we still watch it.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's a weird. You can blame it partially on the times of COVID and Thunderdome shit and stuff, which isn't. I'm not making excuses of them at all. I'm not saying that. And the roster is stacked as far as wrestling skill wise. Yeah. But I don't know. There seems to be a disconnect. There's definitely a disconnect with story, which is not the roster's fault. That's the writers and that's Vince's fault. But there seems to be a very disconnect on a certain amount of characters. There's a lot of characters where it's kind of like a lot of people go, oh yeah, he's okay. And that's about it. We like him, but that's as far as the stretch. There's no one I'm really getting behind.
No, because they
don't, one or two.
Because they don't want to book them in that way. They want to keep everybody at a level playing field.
Yeah.
And that's annoying, so that means you can never get invested in anyone. Like every single time we used to have an NXT call-up, we were excited, but now we've got to a point where, well, they're going to ruin it within 3 weeks anyway, and it has happened every time.
I mean, with the whole Daniel Bryan storyline going through, always going to say good things about Daniel Bryan, but it was almost like they were trying to replay a storyline which, from a few years back, and as much as we like Daniel, it's kind of almost like, well, we've seen this. This has been done, and again, it's that we never truly believed he was going to dethrone Roman or anything like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't help, obviously, with the internet rumours of he's departing soon anyway. But yeah, from recent memory, a big fan of what Roman's doing, and they did the right thing with Cesaro, which we'll get through to. And for this show, at least, bar one big thing.
Yeah, which we will get to.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you know that already, but...
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
It was good.
As far as wrestling goes,
considering the fact that none of us gave a shit about this pay-per-view, again, none of us are invested at the moment. They haven't given us a reason to be invested other than one thing, which is the main event. This actually ended up being like every single match bar one was either good or great.
Yeah, but also in the minor ways, and I suppose in one match, a major way, there was only like 2 or 3 story developments.
Yeah,
it was purely a wrestling show, which to a degree it should be. But the reason we enjoy the sports entertainment aspect of it is like, why can't we get wrestling and good storytelling as well?
If you have those working in tandem, you've got Dynamite there.
So there was the odd little bit of story progression here and there, and the main event was mainly the one that had the story progression asterisk next to it. So let's stop beating around the bush and get into it. So the first match was the Raw Women's Championship.
Yeah, the triple threat. So Charlotte versus Asuka versus the champion Rhea. And again, this was a match couldn't have given a shit. Obviously, Charlotte have been shoehorned into this. They haven't made me care about Rhea, unfortunately. They've just decimated Asuka over the last few weeks. So again, going in, didn't care.
Yeah.
However, that was a solid opener. There was a lot of fun. It never lagged. It never got boring. There's plenty of moves and spots. There's plenty of things happening. And yeah, it was just a fun, solid opener. And although we have that thing looming over you about Charlotte wins, lol.
I bought into that.
With it being the triple threat, there was a chance of maybe she won't do it. But there's always that looming over. But I think they made the right call in having Rhea retain.
Yeah, sorry, it's me pinging. It might happen again. Yeah, it was very. It didn't fall into the standard triple threat of, one gets chucked out of the ring and for a few minutes is a one-on-one and then they do the switch over.
It was constantly back and forth, wasn't it?
It felt like the name was actually. Sorry, I might have to turn my phone off.
Maybe turn your Wi-Fi off.
Yeah, it felt like for the first time in a long while, the name of the match, Triple Threat, actually stood steadfast. Is it steadfast? Steadfast. That's the word there. Of yes, there is no there's a threat always of the third person fucking it up somewhere.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They didn't give it. There was barely a breath between each person's interaction. That's which was great. Every single time you think, right, this is the moment where they're going to have a breather, the next person comes in. Which
also kept you on the toes of okay, anyone can take it here.
Yeah.
To the point, more near the end of the match, it's is Asuka going to do this?
Yeah, because they were but again, at no point did I think Asuka was going to take this. But then when it got near the end, they were pushing her with this underdog pushing back kind of thing. It's they might.
Yeah, because it was one of them. It was also again the story development was more. To fast forward, Rhea Ripley ends up winning the match. Good solid victory. Even though it was the whole where was Charlotte?
Yes, this is the only niggle that I've got with this match. Is we both said at the end of it, what happened to Charlotte? She booted Asuka in the face, which put her into the riptide, and then Rhea just pinned her, and that was it. It was you weren't on the floor or anything.
Yeah.
You were there. You could have broken up that count.
You were on the offensive. It wasn't a move had happened to you, so you were
She didn't do a hip attack or something like that, knock you out of the ring or anything. You were there. So that was the only downside. They purposely panned the camera away when we never saw Charlotte again.
Yeah. If the camera work had been better, you might have seen the boot and her kind of winded or slip off the apron or something like that.
She did a massive boot where it ricocheted her back and she fell down.
Yeah.
I'd have bought that a little bit more.
Yeah. But and it was also to showcase this new side of Charlotte, which, yes, it's slightly more aggressive, and the way the match ended with Rhea just shoving it in Charlotte's face is okay, this is the minor story development.
Yeah, this is the feud.
But as far as the match was well structured, as far as the pace, the wrestling, the energy, very enjoyable triple threat, and no one came out looking weak.
No, even Asuka. I mean, again, we knew Asuka was taking that pin, but she did enough in the match to, like you say, not make her look weak, which is always a plus.
It was also, I think it was mainly put there for Rhea's benefit anyway, because, everyone's over the moon, as far as I know, with both Rhea and Bianca winning the Women's Championships in at WrestleMania, sorry. But they're still relatively green. They're not at their prime. They're still newcomers. So Rhea still, despite being strong enough to carry the championship, still needs people like Charlotte and Asuka to bounce off so she can learn and create chemistry. And Charlotte and Asuka doing their job of making her look strong.
Yeah.
So it was good for everyone involved. Despite Asuka, like say, taking the pinfall, it was almost like, okay, she's still a badass. Not as badass as she was in NXT, but that's a different chapter. Charlotte's characters developed slightly more, and Rhea's continuing the reign. Yeah. So it was good. It
did what it needed to do.
Yeah. Next was the Smackdown Tag Team Championship.
Yes, and now this, obviously, I had gone for the Mysterios, as I think most of us had done. But it was the fact that Dominic got injured early on by the Dirty Dogs, which is the stupidest name ever.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
It's fucking ridiculous. Just call him Rudolph. I don't know.
Just pop him Rudolph. It's fine.
So yeah, obviously he didn't come out, and it was down to like a handicap match, and Ray got plenty of offense. His kind of underdog things we know he is as a character. Plenty of that back and forth. Really I like the way that those two are working him over and being a tag team, which is I suppose good. That's fine. And then Dominic coming out with, he's injured to get the tag and everything, but he still gets dominated, and it still feels that plucky underdog story to finally get that moment for the first ever father and son tag team champions and that win, which is all great, really emotional. My only gripe with this, why didn't you do it at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
That's, this could have been absolutely astronomical for WrestleMania, for these guys doing it there, but you decided to do it on Backlash, which is a bit annoying. The match was good, it was a lot of fun, everybody did what they need to do, plenty of moves going, plenty of working over, plenty of storylines happening, enjoyed all of it, everything worked exactly the way it needed to go. I just think if you just cherry pick that out and put that the month before, I'd have been much happier.
What, in hindsight then, what match would you have taken out of the Mania thing though? Because that's the thing. I mean, you can easily do it in hindsight in the sense, well, that was shit.
The Randy Orton Fiend one, given the result.
Exactly. Knowing it was shit, we can do that. But, if at the time of like looking at, if you have that snack card in front of you beforehand, and you're like, well, where can we throw this? It might be like, oh, okay. I mean, you could have, for argument's sake, had the Raw tag titles happen at Backlash, Omos and AJ beat New Day there.
Yeah.
But it was one of them, and I get why they did the Raw tag things, because it was to showcase Omos' first match, and it would have been weird to have a Mania without AJ Styles.
Yeah.
So, it was, unfortunately for me, it was the result that I accidentally had leaked. So, every near fall for me wasn't as exciting because I knew the result. But I tried to ignore that. I'm like, okay, if I didn't know the result, I probably would have been just as, oh my god. Slight nitpick, maybe too many times Ray kicked out.
Yeah.
It was just
that is a good point.
Literally only a couple.
Yeah, it's like you've had like 2 or 3 zigzags and spine busters and shit, and then after a while it's like, and it was a couple of double team moves as well, spine buster, zigzag, kind of combo, whatever they do. Yeah, and a couple of times I think, is it a little bit too much?
It's one of them. If it was, if Ray was still younger, and part of his character is his what's the word I'm looking for?
His resilience.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but it's kind of like, we know how hard you are now, and if anything, again, this is only so slightly. It only just slightly diminishes Ziggler and Rude's offense ability. It's like, these two aren't pushovers. Ziggler's very good in the ring. Bobby Roode's awesome. They've been whipping your ass.
Yeah, he still kicks out.
Yeah. I mean, but it kind of worked on the other side of the coin. Of like, I can't believe this. On the edge of a seat, I can't believe he's still in it. To the point, you do start to go back in your seat a little bit of like, I'm still invested, but yeah, come on, as if.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, Dominic comes limping down to the ring, gets the... It wasn't really a hot tag.
No, it wasn't, because it was a blind tag, but he got dominated by Root pretty much straight away. So it wasn't like exactly, which I quite liked, because it still plays on his injury, it still plays, and they've still got work to do to get that win. It's not a case of Dominic comes out and saves the day, because that's not what happened. He gets himself inserted to give his dad a break, but he still gets his ass kicked at the same time. So I quite like that change. Because normally when you have that, it's a hot tag and it's a big moment. But they kind of played it down. No, it's like, just because you're in doesn't mean you're winning.
Yeah, it was almost a double bluff. And yeah, I got the whole beatdown with Ray thing, but I think it would have been more beneficial to the match, again, just a slight nitpick, if more offense had been done on Ziggler and Rude.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like, don't get me wrong, they took their damage, but when you've got a championship on the line and you're meant to be as good as you are, it seemed you were beaten not easily, but quite, well, I suppose it was easily compared to other matches they've been a part of. I mean, Ziggler's very famous for his resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, that's a slight nitpick, because the good side of it did keep you guessing, like the triple threat did. Like I say, when Dominic came in, it wasn't like tag, I'll do the moves, we've won the match.
Yeah.
It was straight away, Dominic was put down. So it's like,
it's
okay,
not going to be enough.
is this not the Mysterio's night then? This is not really anything to do with the match, it's just to do with the circumstances. As far as the team of Bobby Roode and Ziggler, they did well as a team. You know, they had some kind of chemistry there. But the problem with those kind of teams, when they're randomly thrown together,
you're always aware of that fact.
Yeah, it's like if
I know what these two can be apart, so why have you put them together?
If you wanted them, by all means, if you had something in the boardroom or whatnot, like why don't we make Roode and Ziggler a team? You know what they've obviously done is like, okay, next SmackDown they're a team. It's like, well, what's the reason for it? Where's the story?
There is no reason.
Create a team.
But again, this is down to WWE and Vince thinking that we're stupid. It's like, oh, we'll just do that and not give them a reason. And in a couple of weeks, they won't care.
I mean,
because they're stupid and they'll forget stuff.
It's not the greatest storyline in the world, but at least the almost AJ thing makes a little bit more sense of AJ's heel persona going, I've got myself a bodyguard.
And he was built over time.
Yeah. This was kind of like,
1 week they're not.
Ziggler and Roode are a team now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Why are they called Dirty Dogs? Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping this means Ziggler and Roode can go their separate ways.
Yeah, let them have a match at Hell in a Cell or something on the pre-show against each other.
Match or
I'd say against it. I'd split up and have against it. Have Roode win that, and then Ziggler can go doing what he usually does, which is put over the next load of talent, which seems to be his position permanently.
Yeah,
and then we can actually fucking do something with Roode.
Yeah, this was the title match where I thought if any title's going to change hands tonight, it's this one, because the Mysterios might give it a bit more spotlight.
Yeah, because the tag team championships, all of them have been absolute fucking horseshit for ages.
Yeah.
But now we've got those guys with those, and then AJ and Omos with the others, so potentially it gives them a little more credibility.
It's almost like as well, if Dirty Dogs had one, who would it have benefited? Yeah,
exactly.
Because at the time, and I don't know if this is Ziggler's or Roode's fault, or probably just WWE's, they weren't really doing anything with them. They were just holding them, which seems to be the case for a lot of championships nowadays.
Yeah.
Apart from the two heavyweight championships, which is a good thing. And the women's aren't doing anything bad, but because they're brand new, they've got a time to settle into, like, okay, these are the new champs around here. So, so new SmackDown Tag Champs. Here's the rant.
Yes. Strap in, kids.
I don't even want to laugh about this.
It's not even funny. No. It's not funny. It's... Right, so Damien Priest versus The Miz, and it was a lumberjack match.
Was it, though?
I mean, we didn't care about this match anyway, because the feud is still continuing after Mania and all that shit. They've had so many variations of them and Morrison and Bad Bunny, and it's been all over the place.
It was a pointless
feud.
Like,
it's dead. Like, move on. Why, once again, Damien Priest is another NXT call-up that's slowly just falling down the ladder.
Yeah.
And then, they've been plugging this movie the whole night with Batista in from Netflix, this House of the Dead. Army of the Dead, that's it. And then, I honestly didn't see this coming. And it's the worst kind of shock factor ever when you find out the lumberjacks were fucking zombies. I mean, who fucking... Even I found out on Twitter afterwards, when someone was ranting at Batista saying, what the fuck? He's like, don't bring your complaints to me, bring your complaints to Vince. It weren't my fucking idea. So... when everybody thinks this is shit, including the people that look like they've been the ones that are promoting it, it shows how bad it is. And it was just, the thing is though, I was so annoyed by everything that was going on with the zombies throughout this entire match. I can't remember the match.
No.
Nothing of note. Nothing.
The only bits I remember is, something that lumberjacks aren't meant to do is the zombies kept reaching into the ring to grab them. At one point, Miz and Priest actually jumped out the ring to fight them.
Morrison got involved.
Then
he got dragged down behind the barrier.
Yeah, like a big horror movie scene.
Yeah, that was so shit.
It just seemed more... This whole match was based... Nothing to do with the Miz and Priest storyline.
But the thing is, it's nothing to do with the storyline.
No.
They have no kind of spooky kind of otherworldly kind of things happen throughout their feud, like the Fiend or something. Like, this was during a Fiend thing, it made a little bit more sense. But this has had nothing to do with their feud, and they just chucked this in. And they expected us to go, yeah, okay. No!
But that's it, even if...
It makes it look stupid. It makes Damien Priest look stupid. It really does. I mean, you could tell in his eyes, he was like, well, this is dumb.
Well, also, luckily, you know, the same kind of fans that will hate it will also be the ones to go, this ain't anybody, Miz or Priest's fault. So... There'll be kind of... I think it'll be more forgiving to Priest than The Miz, because The Miz... I don't know. He kind of... again, it wasn't his idea, but he seems to be thrown into these kind of situations a lot.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately for Miz, it's kind of like, okay, you've become kind of the laughing stock of WWE, which is unfortunate, because when Miz is good, he is awesome.
Yeah, his Intercontinental run back in 2016 or whatever it was. Phenomenal. When
he's given a serious storyline, title run, you know, mic talking skills, whatever, he takes the ball and runs with it. But when you give
him fluff,
thing is, you know, you can give someone the ingredients to make an amazing meal, and it's on them to make it. You give someone shit, it's still going to be a pile of shit. So, yeah, it was, even if the Undertaker had that kind of thing back in the day, I would have been more forgiving of it because it fit his character, but I still would have been like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, the zombies thing was the slight leak. I'd seen the second one, and I just saw the picture. I was like, right, is this something to do with Alexa Bliss?
That would have made more sense.
Yeah, I mean, it would have made more sense, but I was still on that thing of
I still wouldn't have liked it, but it
still would have been like, depending how this is executed, this is either going to be passable or just fucking suck. Nothing to do with Alexa Bliss. Nothing to do with The Fiend, just, Army of the Dead, we're promoting it, in case you didn't hear us the first 6 times in the fucking night about it.
I mean, because like, even like all the promos and everything, like the packages and all this kind of stuff, they just kept shoving it down your throat again and again and again and again. It was the most shameless fucking movie plug, or even a plug outside of WWE, I think they've ever done. It's so shameless, it just kept plugging it again and again and again and again through the night, and it was embarrassing.
I also don't get the end game for it, of like, as far as like, you know, you put certain parts on the show, like, this is meant to be like the funny segment, this is the heartwarming segment, this is the hardcore segment. For this, it was like, was this meant to be funny? Was this meant to be scary?
We can't have the show being too good, so let's make something shit in the middle.
Was this meant to be the awesome thing? Or like, did Vince have it in his head, everyone's going to be like, zombies, this is fucking awesome.
Love it. No, we're not.
Because this, yes, wrestling is all kind of mixes of comedy, TV shows, soap opera, movies, whatever. But it's not a movie. It's still got to stick to its core, which is it's a fucking wrestling show. Which means zombies have no fucking place in it.
And so, another thing that annoyed me with the zombies as well, which we discussed while we were watching it, if they're zombies and you've decided that these guys are zombies and they've just come out of nowhere to become lumberjacks, why are they obeying the rules? They come down outside and then they don't get in the ring until after the match is over and they devour Miz or whatever.
That's it.
So it's like, I'm sorry, but if you're saying they're zombies and this is actually happening and this is real and it's like kayfabe and everything, they should be just running amok because they're zombies. They're looking for flesh. And then the commentators ran away at the start. As soon as the match kicked in, they were back at their desks.
I mean,
and also it makes no sense whatsoever. It's ridiculous.
But it's also one of those things that they must have known. They must have known if they had the gall to do that thing in front of fans.
Oh, they'd have booed it out of the building.
So it's almost like they knew they could do it because there was no fans.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, but if you know they're going to hate it, don't do it. If you don't think they're going to hate it, you have clearly lost touch.
And this is the thing, because there's no fans there and everything, that's the only thing that will tell Vince whether something is good or bad. Mm-hmm. He doesn't go on YouTube or any other podcast sites and stuff and listens to stuff like this or Wrestle Talk or Cultaholic. He doesn't listen to any of that. Yeah. So he doesn't know the critics. He doesn't listen to people's reviews of it because he doesn't ever bother. No. So he's never going to know what's good and bad and what works and what doesn't work. He's just going to put it out there and go, well, that's what I'm doing. And he's got nobody saying that it's bad until after it's already happened. And by then he's like,
It's just, how does it even come in conversation? I know it can be conversation. It's like Army of the Dead. It's the promotion. I mean,
promote it if you want.
Yeah, promote it if you want.
But don't put zombies in it.
It's one of those things as well. Again,
you promoted films and music and shit before without doing that.
I'm not trying to make excuses for them, but was this a deal that Army of the Dead guys said, we want this to happen? And then we'll give you money or whatever. I don't see it happening that way.
We all know who did this.
Yes, of course we do. But now with what happened with The Miz, it's like, well, logically, is he dead? Is he coming back to some undead fucking character?
Well, same as Morrison. He got dragged over the back and never saw him again.
I guarantee they'll be on Raw the next night and the thing.
Yeah, it will be. And this will be like as if it never happened. It will get a brief mention maybe, and that'll be it. Yeah. I also hated with Damien Priest at the end when he did his arrow thing. The Army of the Dead's thing came on the Titantron instead of his fire emblem. I was like, ugh. Well,
why to put a movie over your own
the talent that you should be building up?
Yeah, it's like, is this? Are they going to suddenly call him the Sergeant of the Dead now as like a new nickname? It's like, what's wrong with just being Damien Priest? I mean,
there's nothing wrong with it. He's got cool character. He's got good promo work. He's a great wrestler. He looks cool. He's a big dude. I don't see what else you need to... It's the same... He's got the Keith Lee effect. Yeah. You don't need to do anything. He's just Damien Priest, just like he's just Keith Lee. That's what he is. But Vince is so deluded. He looks at every single person and goes, they need a gimmick. They need a character thing, because if they don't have a character thing, how can I tell him from him? And it makes no sense. You don't need to do that. Just let them be themselves, and they can really, show you what they can do.
With the proof, hopefully, might be in the pudding for the main event later of Cesaro. Hopefully, he watched that and thought, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Don't get it wrong. Cesaro's promo work is nothing amazing, but his in-ring ability and the way he's able to give a performance is enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfair to say he doesn't have a character, because there is something there, but his character isn't really... It's not a portrayal as such. It's just him.
It's just him.
It's Cesaro. And Priest, I mean, he might be like that in real life as well, but not like, obviously, firing fire arrows and shit. He might just be the metalhead that's kind of likes to wear that kind of shit.
Cocoa.
Yeah. There's a lot of characters that used to be, anyway, where they were just themselves, they just turned it up to 11.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like The Rock, like Stone Cold. Obviously, The Undertaker didn't.
But again, it's a very rare thing.
Well, he was the opposite side of the spectrum. He was like, I'm not like this, but I'm so dedicated to it for a while. I'm not going to do interviews, autograph sessions.
Yeah, and again, I think
people see me outside, they're going to be wearing all black.
And I think that's what Bray wanted to do with his Fiend gimmick and even his Bray Wyatt gimmick, but WWE said no to
That's
that.
It. It's like when some people take a 1 point hold punk like you're champion, now you've got to wear a suit. And not only was his response like, well, why isn't Cena wearing a suit? It's like the obvious response would have been, well, that's not part of Cena's gimmick. It's like, and you really think Punk's gimmick is to wear a suit?
No,
it's not. It has to suit your gimmick. Like, I bet you'd taken him wouldn't have wore a suit when he was champion, because it wouldn't have fit his gimmick.
Sense. It doesn't make no sense.
It seems like there's a Mitchell and Webb sketch where they're talking about the sketches they're going to do per episode, and they go
hit,
right, miss, hit. And it's a joke. It's obviously a funny sketch joke. But it seems like WWE seem to purposely do that now. Like, why can't you go hit?
Why don't you just give them a chance to make the best they can make out of what they give them, rather than just go, no, we're just going to make this shit on purpose?
Yeah. I'd love... I don't think it's ever going to happen, but for at least 1 month, Vince to go, right, we'll give you a kind of rough guideline of what everybody's story is going to be leading into the next pay-per-view, and it's all on you. The promos, the way the story goes,
away,
everything.
Talk to each other,
However,
you do it.
For those of you that aren't exactly confident, or whatever, we're here to help. Because that should be their fucking job anyway.
It should be.
If you need your help,
but they don't. They have to micromanage everything and dot the T's and cross the I's with absolutely every little thing, which is why everything goes through him, because he wants to do it in such a way that everything funnels exactly the way he wants to, and nothing changes outside of his vision. Because if it strays even a little bit, you're being punished.
Yeah, it's one that I'd like to have the option of, like, if I was told a few days before you're going to cut promo on Raw. Okay, what about? And they give you like a rough guideline again. I'd want to go home, try and write my own promo. I'd take theirs and look at the promo they've written for me.
They should give you bullet points, but not the entire script.
Yeah.
That's the difference. They give you an entire script and say, you have to read this word for word. No, just give me some bullet points and I'll riff.
Yeah, that's it. I'd either look at both and go, well, I can mix them together and create this, or I can choose one. I don't want it to be like, nah, fuck your promo, you're reading ours. It's like, well, I know mine's better. If it goes down like a shitstorm, then I'll apologise. But it's about taking chances. Because if I read yours and it went down like a shitstorm, either A, you're not going to apologise, or B, you're going to be like, you read it wrong. Or it's like, no, it was shit from the get-go.
Yeah.
So we've ranted too much. Right?
Yeah, basically.
So the Lumberjack match was shit.
Yeah, it was awful. It really was.
Priest won.
Yeah, it's...
So
God damn it. Please stop doing this shit, WWE, because you just...
It's just not laughable.
It's a real bad dent in an otherwise good show, and it's just one of those reasons where... Another reason not to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people say, why are you into wrestling? And I think of this.
We don't
why?
know.
I don't know why I am. I really don't.
The history.
Yeah,
that's the only thing
it's like you don't. It's like an eclipse. You can't look away from it. But you
yeah, it's one of these. It's almost like a band that a band that plays good music, but when you know,
but they've had
that,
but also that maybe they've had their last 3 albums have been shit. But you still hold on for every album just in case.
It's the opposite. You could have 4 major assholes, and you're like, I hate them all, but their music is good. This is the different side of the spectrum. Like the wrestling is awesome, but or the wrestling show is terrible, but the wrestlers are awesome.
Yeah.
So it's hard to pull away. Anyway,
moving on.
SmackDown Women's Championship.
Yes, Bella versus Bayley.
Not bad.
Good. I think it was solid. I don't think it was near the caliber of the Sasha one at Mania. Not at all. That was just monumental.
Yeah.
That was incredible. However, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Bella did what she needed to do, being this dominant kind of person. Bayley did her classic kind of heel stick. It was a good kind of solid match. Again, it wasn't boring. It didn't feel boring to me.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the weaker matches on the pay-per-view, but that doesn't mean that it was a bad match. Still enjoyed it. I think I had a lot of laughs with it. Again, I can't think of anything specific that kind of stood out as like a big moment. It was just your standard match, but it was still a good match.
There was a lot of the story seemed to be Bayley seeing it as laughable that Bianca was champ.
Yeah.
So a lot of laughing, a lot of attacking Bianca's hair. Because obviously the whole whip thing is Bayley saw that as a threat, so he was like, well, I can try and turn it around.
Yeah.
Which I think with the botch finish, which I think was a botch finish, it was meant to be the whole, well, the hair did get her because Bianca wrapped her leg up in the pin, but at the hair came loose and it seems like the legs fell. But to be fair to the ref, the shoulders were still down.
Yeah, you got
the 3 count happened, but it just seemed a bit like, yeah, it was a bit of a cluster.
Yeah, we were kind of like, what happened?
It was that whole, it was a 3, but that didn't look like a 3.
It was a bit of a fuzzy 3.
Yeah, so to the point, if it was a botch, Bayley showed it off brilliantly of like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because she was shouting at Cole afterwards saying she cheated, cheated. So that means that potentially they could go for one more round in Hell in a Cell, which I'm fine with.
The match did seem that kind of level of like, this is a build-up match to something more.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't want them going again.
Yeah, because as far as the characters as well, it was more... It wasn't really a character development thing. It was more of a showcase of both characters and almost the whole... Bianca's your new women's champion now. She's stepping in to go against the most dominant SmackDown women's champion of all time. And she's proven her worth.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yes, the whole point of this match was that, is to prove her worth, because she's her first title defence and she's had the title and she needs to be strong and stay strong, and this is how you do it.
And Bayley's built herself up as a credible threat.
Yeah.
So, it was
fine.
I don't want to say it was kind of just thrown together. For all I know, it might have, because I haven't been watching SmackDown.
Well, I mean, as far as I remember, they've been building to this since WrestleMania.
The promo package made it look like they did.
Yeah, so it seems like they have been putting time into it.
And I'm kind of glad that, it was that there was a concern for a while of, like, have we forgotten about Bayley? And at least they haven't forgot about her. So, and like I say, it wasn't like it was a bad match, but if we pretend the Lumberjack match didn't happen, so if we just remove that, there was 5 matches on the card, it probably would have been bottom of the pile, but not because
still
of anything bad.
Yeah.
It's just because the other 4 topped it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, not really much more to say. Bianca won. It was good. It was good enough.
Yeah.
Next was the triple threat for the WWE Championship.
Yeah. Again,
very good.
This is a match, again, I wasn't that bothered. I'm fine with Bobby being champion. I still like Drew. Braun kind of gets thrown into this randomly.
It happens every now and then,
which is weird.
It is weird.
But I think it might have been his first WWE title attempt. I think
possibly. Again, he might have had one against Lesnar, but I can't remember.
But yeah, so going in, I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know whether I really care about this that much because again, they haven't really made me care about it too much. So, again, the writing's not been good.
Yeah,
because it's been on Raw, and obviously Raw's been diabolically bad to the point where
shit.
we don't watch it anymore. So it's just I didn't really care that much going into it. Having said that, this was awesome.
It was very good.
Big lads doing big stuff, and it was
maybe match of the night.
I say I can't choose between this and the main event. I'd say they're on the level for very different reasons.
Maybe level, but if I had to choose out of the two, I think I'd go for this just by a hair.
Because again, it did the same thing that the other triple threat did. They didn't give it a chance to breathe. Every single moment counted. There was no lag. There was no boredom. There was no rest. Because that's the thing I was worried about with it being big lads. There was going to be like 5 minutes, 6 minutes of rest hold, and I was going to like, fucking hell, get on with it, lads. But they just fucking went to town on each other. Like Strowman was doing cannonballs off the top. They were doing suplexes together. They put Bobby. Oh, ice cream! Ice cream! Ice cream! Ice cream!
There he is. He's only a fat bastard.
It's always is, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's eating his own product.
Yeah.
And then Bobby lastly gets chucked through the LED screen by, and then Strowman puts Drew through the table. He caught him mid-air as well. Even Drew did a front.
The plancha.
The plancha at the front with Strowman. Like, it didn't even look like it phased him.
Strowman took a couple of near broken neck bumps.
Yeah,
like, when he did the forward roll off the apron, I'm like, whoa, fucking hell.
He literally had like less than an inch before he got a break.
It was one of those again, which it did edge the women's triple threat, even though
it's just more aggressive and just more. You know, there was just so much more edge to it. Like they were all wrestling with the biggest chip on their shoulder. I liked that.
The aggression was what threw it because it wasn't the bit the most brutal or the biggest strong style, but the aggression fed through. And with the women's triple threat, like I said, what I liked about it was like it always seemed like the triple threat dynamic was there. It was kind of the same with the men's because at the start it was like they're teasing the double team thing, and it's like again that's a standard thing that's done, and that seemed to quickly go out the window. And it did become a lot of one-on-one here, one-on-one there, but we're literally talking about there's a move between two of them, and then suddenly the other one comes crashing in, and then it's a move between those two, and they come crashing back.
The only time we had a bit of a breather was when Drew took Bobby up to the title and threw it through. Strowman was down at the ring. That's the only time where we had that separation. Yeah, but it was fine because of what we got out of it.
Yeah, and I think Braun again. The good thing the women's did that the men didn't quite do is, like I said, near the end of the women's, is like Asuka could do this. Braun never really felt it as much. But Braun proved his worth of why, because he probably knew the whole thing of like, there's going to be a lot of people thinking, why the fuck am I thrown in here? So he went in like, I'm going to show him why I got thrown in here. And he held his own.
Yeah, he did.
And Drew always holds his own.
Yeah, I mean, Drew does. Drew's Drew, and he just fucking nailed it every time.
Drew even said on Twitter, like, he's surprised the fans haven't turned on him yet. I'm like, dude, it's because you don't fuck around. You're a constant.
You're the most genuine guy that we've seen, and you're a beast of a guy. You're a great wrestler. You're honest. You're genuine, and like he trims the fat every wrestling match. There's no fat there. He just knows how to make it good.
I once said to Zach, my brother, like, now that if Taker's gone, or he was seen as like the bar of respect was Taker. He was right at the top. And I said, I don't know if I said because Taker's gone or just said not including Taker, do you think Cena's the next one down? And he said no. He didn't really give me a reason, or if he did, I can't remember it. Because my reasoning was more like his work ethic, his charity work, always turning up regardless. I can't take that away from Cena.
Yeah.
However, now that he's gone, I think what Drew doesn't get of like, they haven't turned on me yet, and it's surprising why it's because every time you step into the ring, whether it's Raw or pay-per-view or Smackdown, whatever, every time you just bit by bit gaining more and more respect from fans and your peers alike.
Yeah.
Because not only do 90% of the time you nail it, but even the times you don't, you've got that work ethic to improve yourself.
And again, I think a lot of people gave him even more respect for him where he came back and was honest about the fact that I fucked up royally and I worked my ass off to get back to this point because of my mistakes. So the fact that he owns up to his mistakes and goes, look, it's down to me. That I got myself in that position, and now I work my ass off to get myself back on top. So he's worked hard to get to where he is naturally and owned his mistakes, and that's what people love about him as well. The respect is there.
The COVID thing was horrible for him.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you're going to go to the main event of Mania in front of like 80,000 people against Brock Lesnar, and COVID kicks you between the fucking balls. But it's almost like a silver lining of like for the wrestling fans, because they felt so bad for him. It's like, you've kind of become our mascot through this. You represent us of like, you are struggling just as much as us, which means we're in this together. And we want to be with you for the ride until you get that Mania moment. And now, he got the championship moment. He had a good reign. We stuck behind him. He had his Mania championship match. And, there was a lot of controversy of like, but he didn't get the win. And there's a lot of good points and bad points about that. To the point that, if it is a SummerSlam or whatnot, or whenever they've got a show where there's a full attendance and he wins that championship back, that's going to be a moment that people won't forget.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you want.
And to circle back to the match, he was very close to winning it earlier because he was going against Braun while Bobby was kind of laid out up top. He got the Claymore. That would have been game over. And then Bobby comes in out of nowhere, throws him out of the thing, hits Strowman with a spear and retains his championship. And I like that. Yeah. Because it doesn't diminish anyone. Braun worked his ass off. It doesn't look bad. Drew got his win. It was there. He was going to take it. 100% he was taking it. And then Bobby did the heel thing, which is being an arsehole and just coming at the last moment and sneaking that win. But not only just chucking him out and then pinning him, he goes, no, I'm going to hit my move as well to make absolutely sure. So again, it feels dominant. I liked everything about that. Yeah. So it finished off the story of that triple threat fine without making any person look bad. And you can continue that feud, and I'm fine with Bobby still being champion.
Yeah, the aggression thing is the main what led it to the light, so to speak, because it was more I think even before the match, we're like, okay, three big muscly men. It's one of those Vince fetish things again. Because in my head, as the kind of fan I am, I was like, I respect the strength. I mean, I wouldn't be a fan of Cesaro if I didn't respect that. But I respect the wrestling ability more than the strength. Just being a strong guy does not make you a great wrestler. You need to, if you can, get the best of both.
See Goldberg.
Yeah. So if it was just a one-on-one, like Lashley Strowman kind of thing, it'd be like, this is just two guys going to be like, look how I can lift him here, I can lift him there. Or worse, they'll go, oh, they want us to wrestle, we'll try and wrestle when we can't as well as others. So they did the right thing of going, why don't we showcase our strengths, leave the wrestling part to Drew, because Drew can wrestle, but take advantage of the triple threat rules while showing the strengths. Case in point, the double suplex to Braun, where they held him there.
Yeah.
Again, I can't take away how impressive that is.
It is.
So they're like, yes, we're three big, strong men. Let's focus on the fact we're three big, strong men, but use the triple threat advantage, a triple threat rule to our advantage to showcase that and be pure, just balls to the wall, kicking the shit out of each other. Because that's what the fans want to see. And I think that's what they delivered.
Yeah, 100%. It was awesome. It really was.
It was... From a sick point of view, probably wouldn't have said no to a bit of blood or a bit of more. There was a few weapon shots. I think steel steps were used.
Yeah, steel steps. Yeah,
but yeah, it was what it was, and I can't take anything from it. It was a very good match. Main event.
Yes. So Reigns versus Cesaro for the Universal Championship. He has a kind of a go at Jay just before he comes out. Go and find your brother, and that's it. And that is the last we see of Jay and Jimmy, which I was quite.
Until after the match.
Yeah, until after the match, Jay does come out. But yeah, this match this was Shakespearean wrestling at its best. The story going behind this, and that not only was it a good wrestling match and showcasing the strength of Reigns and the heel persona, it also showcased Cesaro at his absolute best, doing everything possible to get that win. And then they're working over the arm as well.
Yeah.
I loved all that kind of stuff. And it's just a story being told. I loved it. It's very Shakespearean, and that's what they've been doing a lot with these Roman Reigns matches. They've been so Shakespearean, where this person's come in to take him on, and every time they get so close, and then they just can't do it because suddenly he gets him in the guillotine and it's game over. Which happens again. So yes, Cesaro doesn't win the championship here, but I'm fine with that because Reigns is still on that amazing tear.
And he didn't tap out.
He passed out. And that's the thing. I don't think... There's not many people that have tapped out from this guillotine. It's all been a pass out, which is the perfect way to push it because it doesn't diminish anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, the wrestling in this was absolutely incredible. Cesaro must have impressed Vince and people backstage to show this is what I can do if you put me in this main event spot.
Yeah.
And I have no bad things to say about this match. Again, it never got boring. Even during the slower moments, they were telling.
It was there for a reason.
Yeah, they were telling stories so well with Reigns and Cesaro. The way they were pushing with the trying to get over on Reigns and just trying to get out of things and whatnot. And even Reigns trying to get out of submission holds from Cesaro all the time with his bad arm.
Yeah.
They told it so well, even though in the slow moments, it never felt boring in any way.
Yeah, it was almost methodical.
Yeah, but again, not in a boring way.
I mean, I'm probably my own worst enemy because I'm such a big fan of Cesaro, and I've seen, his work, and so I was going in that, like, I've seen what Cesaro can do. This could be fucking amazing. Now, this is not knocking it at all. I just think I built it up too much in my own head, and I thought it might be a different kind of match, and it wasn't. It wasn't the match. It wasn't the match I envisioned. So that's a good way of not shitting on it, because I don't want to shit on it, because I really enjoyed it. It seemed a lot more to be not only showing Cesaro how good Cesaro is, his perseverance, his resilience, and all that kind of stuff, but it was almost put Roman just as over, because I think a lot of fans were going into that thinking, yeah, Cesaro's awesome, and out of the two, I think he can dance circles around Roman. And
as far as pure wrestling ability, yeah, he can.
But the way the match was structured was almost like Roman going, no, actually, I'm just maybe not as good from a pure wrestling standard.
More aggressive.
But as far as where his character needs to go, it's like, but don't ever take me for granted.
Yeah.
Acknowledge me for how good I actually am. So. But Reigns is almost becoming the new Lesnar in, like, Lesnar was always good of making you think, holy shit, they've got him. Whether it be the tap out or the match against Mysterio.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
No, when we were in, no point did any of us think, oh, Mysterio's taking this. But
Dominic got
then Dominic was like,
involved.
are they actually going to do this? And a lot of it again is to do with Lesnar making you believe that. And you're right. Reigns is he's doing the great thing of that making you think that right at that moment you go, he's got him, and then he just managed to whittle out of it. Whether it be from interference of Jay, but it didn't happen this time. He won by himself, by himself. Again, which is good. It keeps him dominant. But yeah, there's always that slight thing that makes you look, that slight fear in Reigns' eye when he's in a submission hold or he's been hit with a bad move, where you look at it and go, he's got him. And he only just manages to get himself out of it.
Yeah, I think, obviously, the last few minutes, as any match is the more like, here we go.
It's back and forth, like in and out of submissions constantly. Like Cesaro powered out 2 or 3 of the guillotine, didn't he? Until he just couldn't power out anymore.
I think, as again another minor thing, I think it could have done more near the start and near the middle, more kind of spot moments. Because the only spot moment I really remember is the suplex over
that was good.
The rope, which he does a lot. But what they did well was the selling of injury, which not many people do now.
Yeah.
They have a match, and then for example, it might just be RKO game over. Well, the Fiend Bray match is a great example of like there was no working on the head, the face. No. Bray was strong as fuck. It took one RKO to end it, as if. With Cesaro's arm, it was almost like, fair enough, it wasn't so he couldn't the arm that ended it.
But he couldn't hit his neutralizer.
Yes.
He couldn't do the Cesaro swing. He tried. He got himself sharpshooters, but that's all he
it.
could
And
manage.
he was working on the leg,
which
made it to the point. The first time he got the sharpshooter in, not only did Roman get to the ropes quick, But even going in, I was like, no, the match is too early and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But after like the second time, even though again it was still that whole no, I don't think so. I was still looking at it like it makes a lot of people sense of why it might happen though, because he's worked on the leg and now the sharpshooter's in. He's got it cinched in. Roman's in the middle of the ring screaming in pain. It's that 1% like, why not? Yeah, why couldn't he? But yeah, so,
and again, this is what I liked about the fact that he got out of a couple of guillotines and to the point where he just couldn't get out of the third or fourth, wherever it was, because of the arm, and he couldn't power out anymore. And he just got to the point where he just couldn't get out anymore. And it's like an anaconda. Once he's got him in, he passes out, and that's good because it doesn't make Cesaro look bad. Well, he literally goes, look, he did everything humanly possible to get himself out of that, and his arm just couldn't take anymore. And that was it. It was game over. But, and it was just unfortunate.
Like I said at the start, this was clearly for the match of the night for story development. Because not only because of what
and
happened
for character development for Cesaro as well, especially because it just showcased what he can do when he's given the time.
Some people might go, I don't think Roman sold Cesaro enough. I was like,
he did.
No, I think he sold him the right kind of amount because we were talking about
you don't
where
want
to go from here.
You don't want to overdo it.
No, because not only does Roman, why would Roman want to weaken himself in that state? You never want to. Fair enough, I get the fact of getting someone over, but that should be more when that person is literally going to go over and win the match.
Yeah.
But just to fast forward a bit, so Roman wins, passes out, Jay comes out, ready to attack Cesaro. I think he does attack Cesaro.
Yeah, he does. He super kicks him.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, is Jimmy going to come out? And Seth, of all people, turn up.
Yeah.
And has a bit of a stare down with Roman, laughs in his face.
And then beats the crap out of Cesaro. So that feud apparently is continuing.
Yeah, so it was... I don't want to say confusing. It's more that whole I want to tune in to see what's actually happening here.
It was a bit of a weird ending though, considering.
Yeah,
you know, the Reigns just buggered off, and the way it ends is Rollins standing tall. It was a bit of a weird ending. It wasn't bad. It was just like
It might be one of those where Seth proper went for the arm on Cesaro to the point it was like, are they writing him off TV?
He put a chair and then threw it against the post, didn't he?
There was the slight possibility that is Seth and Roman joining forces again, but I don't think that's what's going to happen.
No, because there's a lot of rumours going around it's going to be Seth versus Reigns at SummerSlam.
I think it was more the tease of their history of what's happening here. Is Seth going to attack Roman? No, he's after Cesaro. It's just so happened they were both in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
So, it wouldn't surprise me.
His suit was awful as well.
It was awful.
But it's meant to be.
It wouldn't surprise me if, you got Cesaro. Seth would probably be bragging about it. Be like, I took Cesaro out. Maybe Cesaro won't be on SmackDown this week, but the following week he could come out, taped up, slung or whatever, and be like, you didn't get rid of me. And injury or not, I want to fight you again. Have another match with Seth, because their matches are always good. Have it at the next pay-per-view, have it in the cell. And I'd be okay at that point with Seth winning. For two reasons.
It's Hell in the Cell. If you do it in the cell.
Well, even if it isn't, I'd love it to be.
Rollins has lost to him twice, and you can't have Rollins win all the time.
You need to get a
Otherwise,
bit
he doesn't become credible.
Yes, you need to get a bit more credibility for Seth, and the fact that it's like, well, Cesaro had the injured arm.
Yeah.
And you create the sympathy, because our hopeful story is like, okay, Cesaro got so close to the championship and lost. Sympathy. And now he's took a loss to Seth. Sympathy. Fans automatically go behind him.
Yep.
You start the build again to the potential Royal Rumble win and potential rematch, maybe with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 38. And that point is where Roman needs to sell properly. Because at Backlash, it was more that kind of like frustration of like, he's still coming back. I want Roman to be showing like absolute shock of like
sudden panic, like
how strong is this guy?
Like,
how the fuck am I going to put him down?
Yeah.
And Heyman always sells it beautifully.
Oh yeah, he does. He does every time he's looking outside on the ring. He's so invested in the match like a little kid, and that's exactly what you want.
If that happened, if Cesaro kept coming back, I want Heyman to be selling it like how he sold Goldberg beating Lesnar.
Yeah,
like on his knees. I think even when that happened, I think Heyman had a tear rolling down his cheek of like, I can't believe that happened. That kind of selling for Cesaro in front of a live, full capacity crowd, winning the championship. Oh, getting chills just thinking of the part.
Oh no, just imagine it.
I mean, or better yet, if I kind of foreseeing Drew winning the championship again this year. I'm fine with Cesaro versus Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, though, that with how good Drew's become and how good I know Cesaro is, I think those two would kick the shit out of each other.
Yeah, it would be a good match.
So ratings.
Yes, so that's it. It's ratings time. Right. Now, it was a really good pay-per-view, apart from that one bad thing.
Yeah, that's going to knock.
And that's the problem. Well, it's going to knock more than half a point for me. It's going to knock a whole point away for me because of how bad that was. It was just a real bad asterisk for me on top of an otherwise good/great show. Yeah. So for me, I'm going to give it a 6 because I was going to give it a 7, but that match just knocked it a point away because of how dumb, stupid, pointless and shameful it was. Yeah. And embarrassing as well.
I'm going to go with 6.5 because as shit as that was, it's almost like... It'd be different if it was like, there's that shit match and all the other matches were, either great or some were passable. When I look at it, if you take that Lumberjack match away, most of the matches, if not all of the matches, were not only above average, but very good.
Yeah.
So, you do get that was average, that was good, that was amazing, that was very good, that was shit. This was more, that was shit, everything else was very good.
But you've got to be put on notice and realise you can't get away with putting on shit like that.
No.
And expect us to forget about it because the rest of the show was so good. That's the thing.
The Miz Priest under a normal match stipulation probably still would have been the weakest match of the card.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be bitching and moaning about it. We would have gone, well, it did exactly what it needed to do. Priest won, end of story.
Yeah, it would have been one of those
That's the thing. We're not even talking about the actual in-ring match itself because we can't remember it because we're so focused on how shit it was with the zombies. That's the crux of it.
That's it. It's like it would have been also. I think it would have been the weakest match of the card for the point of like this is a story that didn't need to continue. So it's like I said, there's one thing to be fed shit, but when there's just so many flies, literally the zombies were the flies on the shit. It was like Miz Priest, it's probably going to be shit. Zombies around it. Oh, it's definitely going to be shit
now.
Yeah, it's. So it just left the bad taste in the mouth because
of an otherwise great show.
That's the unfortunate thing. When people look back at it, that's probably going to be the moment that stands out.
Yeah,
and it's for
and that's a shame
reason.
Given the title matches. It really is a shame.
It is. So
even the heartfelt moment with Reyes as well. Like that's not going to be remembered. It's going to be remembered as this Army of the Dead fuck up.
Yeah, that's it. It's going to be like, oh, what happened at Backlash 2021? Let me think. Oh, it was the zombies thing. What else happened? Well, there was Smackdown Tag Champions crown and Cesaro did great, but primarily zombies.
Yeah.
Thank you for fucking it up.
Well done, Vince.
Yeah.
Once again, you can't just let us have nice stuff, can you? You always have to put a little turd inside a box of raisins, don't you? There's always going to be one in there, but which one is it going to be?
What's wrong with putting on just a wrestling show?
I know.
Because that's what the wrestling fans are. Wrestling fans. That's why we watch it, not to see some Army of the Dead fucking plug.
Honestly, our passion for wrestling is hanging by a thread at the moment. It really is.
AEW's there.
Roman Reigns is that thread.
AEW's there to kind of go, come to the dark side. And I do watch AEW still, but it's like I say, it's that kind of history of I've watched WWE for so long, it's so hard to walk away from it.
Yeah.
That's what that was. So next is
Hell in a Cell.
They've changed the pay-per-view.
So Hell in a Cell in June. So it's 4 or 5 weeks away.
Yeah, June 20th. So about 4 weeks away.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll do the podcast for it, but the takeover has been announced as In Your House 2.
Oh, okay.
So they're doing that again, which I like. I really enjoyed In Your House.
We did also mention about doing a questions podcast thing. We put a thing up on Twitter for anybody that did it. I think maybe we'll do it at some point. We were going to do it before this, but things just we snowballed with other things and just forgot. I think it was because we were so happy that we could sit outside in a pub again. We just did that at the weekends.
Yeah, when restrictions need to lift and freedoms down the end of the tunnel, it's kind of like, well, that can go on the back burner for now. So we might do it at some point. Yeah.
Cool. So subscribe, share, and we'll be back in about 4 or 5 weeks.
Bye.